Are we doing self-care wrong? Is self-care nothing but a billion-dollar industry focused on the individual, projecting even more work and toxic productivity? This video is inspired by Andrewism's video, Everything Wrong with Self-Care, and I strongly suggest you go watch it, and I'm gonna link in the description below. So, what is self-care? Audre Lorde says, caring for myself is not an act of self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. Self-care is basically the things that you do to take care of your body and your mind, just to get through the day or the week. Things like sleeping, exercising, eating healthy foods that nourish your body, doing things you enjoy, even laughing so hard that your belly aches. These things can be considered self-care. Self-care has been around for ages. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived as species, I guess. And even the ancient Greek knew about it, practiced it, and talked about it. According to legendary Greek philosopher from the 5th century before Christ, Socrates, care of self and to know thyself are fundamental principles regarding the healthy relationship we have with ourselves and others. In taking care of ourselves and knowing ourselves, we reduce the risk of harming others because we become more aware of our boundaries and means and potential. He advised ambitious youth to go into politics, maybe changing it from the inside, I don't know, but only once they have worked on themselves. So it feels a lot like self-improvement. Knowing yourself, setting boundaries, knowing your potential, improving your state of mind and body. In a nutshell, being very superficial here, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that is right, I don't have a problem with self-improvement and self-care when your intention is to pour from your cup, when the goal is to give back to the collective. Self-care isn't performative self-cuddling, it's doing the hard work of examining and improving yourself in order to better serve the world. Audre Lorde's quote from the beginning of this video was inserted in the context of her battle with cancer. In her experience, her act of actively trying to escape foods that would further poison her body was both an act of self-care and an act of resistance. Inside a society that seems to be very much okay with the amount of toxic and damaging substances in colorfully packed foods, cheap and accessible to almost anyone, eating healthy is a political act of resistance, which is not accessible to all. Organic foods are much more expensive than poison-packed foods. Organic became a premium version of foods instead of the most natural, the normal one. Self-care is an act of resistance when you're not a part of the dominating groups. When hegemonic groups want you dead, being alive and well is a political act of resistance. Self-care becomes self-preservation. It becomes necessary to first continue to exist and then being able to question this hegemonic beliefs, meaning bullshit, and fight back. And like Socrates would argue, I think, going into politics, running for office, or building communities to politically educate each other, organizing, and bring forth real change, maybe revolution. Doing that also includes self-esteem, which I believe lies in the same umbrella of self-care, but I don't know which one is the umbrella. But anyway, this is a whole different video. When capitalism meets self-care, it becomes this whole other thing. This other thing that it's not very accessible to most people. It becomes this luxurious thing for luxurious people, and only these luxurious people have access to. It becomes exclusive. It becomes expensive trips to exotic countries. It becomes overpriced scented candles, which I love. Champagne or wine in my case, but I don't buy expensive wine though. Not that I don't want to, but it's not where I want to put my money. It becomes hot tubs and it becomes spa days. It becomes 274 different products for each little part of your body because you deserve it. You work so hard and you're worth it. Each hair on your head is special enough to have a different product just for their individual need. That's not self-care, that's just stupid. I mean, it's consumerism, which is stupid. But I'm joking. I'm not here judging people who buy this stuff because I get it. I get why they buy it. The point here is the industry of billions of dollars profiting off this distorted idea of self-care. I would love if everyone could have access to many of those things. I love baths, I love scented candles, I love an oversized glass of wine. But you know what actually makes me feel cared for? Having boundaries, not overworking myself, having a support system of people who give a shit. Playing games with friends, socializing a little bit followed by an intensely introspective period just to recover from that. Watching good movies, listening to an album I love and singing as loud as my throat can handle, which is not very loud. Petting a dog, walking in nature, looking at the greenery behind where I live, letting the sun warm up my skin, stretching my body, sleeping as much as my body actually needs, going out for a drink, sitting with my thoughts and emotions and then writing them down in my journal, studying things for these videos, giving back. The list goes on. Not all of these things will look glamorous, but the point is not to look glamorous. Self-care is not supposed to look glamorous. Self-care is not supposed to be performative. It is supposed to be care. Otherwise, it's just self. And I don't know what that means. Another thing, and actually I mentioned it in my previous video, is self-care as a way to be more productive. And now we need to be very careful here because the contradictions are screaming. Personally, I don't think self-care should be used to support the system that makes us need care so much. The very system that, first of all, distorted what self-care really is and made it very individual and very about consumerism. And second of all, the very system that don't want you caring for yourself the real way. Socrates wasn't really talking about self-care as a way to make the pain of the whip on our backs more bearable. Neither was Audre Lorde. Self-care isn't the face mask that you put in to hide the bags under your eyes for not sleeping because you're anxious that you can't pay your rent and you're gonna have to get another job or another project or work extra hours and then sleep even less. We do self-care as an act of resistance, remember, to fight back, to find other possibilities, other systems, other ways of doing things, to build a new way as a collective. So keep filling yourself up so you can help fill others up too. Again, I highly suggest you watch Andrew Wisdom's video on self-care. It's a really short video and really good one. Go watch it. Linked below. Only by learning to live in harmony with your contradictions can you keep it afloat. Audre Lorde.